Oggi su Masterpiece abbiamo l'opportunità, anzi ho avuto l'opportunità e l'onore di intervistare un idolo del krautrock, il signor Roedelius. Per chi non lo conosce consiglio di vedere questa conversazione. Anticipo già che i sottotitoli saranno difficili da mettere, però io tenterò, e in caso contrario presumo che voi conosciate l'inglese, quindi penso sia anche fattibile, quindi vi consiglio di godervi questa possibilità perché è un artista pazzesco. So, Mr. Roedelius, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome. But I have to say first, I'm not a crowd rocker at all.
No, you are an idol of the krautrock. Not only a krautrocker. You are an idol because for me it's an honor and a pleasure to have a chat with you. I don't want to speak of interview. Maybe it's better to say conversation because
Conversation.
Because
nice.
Because your career is so huge, is so important. Because I think that your work with Cluster, Harmonia, and the other bands is very important for the next generation of musicians.
Yeah,
the first thing that I want to say is for me krautrock is very important because it's a genre that I loved from I was 15 years old. Now I'm 36 because next Sunday is my birthday. And for me, krautrock, it is a soundtrack of my life. From my marriage to the birthday of my sons, everything. So, talk about history. It was 1969 that you worked on Zodiac Club. What is your memories about it?
I have a lot of nice memories because it was the first arts club, similar to the arts club in London and similar to the kitchen and the factory in New York. So it was coincidentally a great event that we were allowed to do what we wanted to do, just freelanced and full of ideas and visions to be able to present in a way this became at the end the krautrock movement.
Yes, because I think that in this club many bands have as the beginning of classic bands like Tangerine Dream, Amundul, Cluster with K, not C. Everything was very important. And there is a nice documentary made from BBC, krautrock, the very birth of Germany. In this documentary, there is so much to say. This club doesn't exist anymore, and I think it is a shame because it was a factory of the German music, and I think that krautrock was a chance for the young people to remove the Second World War.
And forget about the war and all this Nazi stuff. Yes, it was a break. It was a new way to become aware of what has to happen, and to forget about the past and to do something new, to invent something, to recondition the minds of people.
Because I think it's very important. It was the 1969, and the electronic music was so a huge event. I think about Stockhausen with the first time when he used the electronic equipment. So for me, the krautrock is a consequence of what Stockhausen do. And band like yours, because if I have to remember the first album of Cluster with K, not C, it's very, very a difficult album to listen, not for the difficult of the sounds, maybe for the experimental, because in the first lineup there was Konrad Schnitzler, who was with Tangerine Dream. There is a problem that Konrad don't go with us, or he goes by his solo career. Why he left?
Yeah, he was a maverick. He always wanted to invent something and then to go away to try to find something new. He was a really inventor, a pioneer. And I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to work with him, to be with him for some time also as member of his family, because I was rather alone when I came from East Berlin to West Berlin. It was like a papa to me. He took care of me. We worked together for making money with several jobs everywhere, refurbishing rooms and refurbishing flats, and try to find out about something to do music-wise.
Okay, so it was important. It was an important icon in krautrock. For me, Konrad.
Yes. Konrad was a great eminence behind everything in Berlin at the time. He had a sense to find people who were able to get into the line and do it as well as him did, as he did.
Yes.
Pioneering, yes. Just trying out, just experiencing what became later on, but the krautrock movement. Yes.
Yes. Because we have, don't forget that Konrad Schnitzler was the mind behind the first album of Tangerine Dream, electronic meditation with Klaus Schulze. But I think that Edgar Froese was a huge mind. But it's not the case to talk about Tangerine Dream. For me, it's very important to talk with you, because with your band, when Cluster came Cluster with C, maybe the sound was more morbid, was more not cacophony, but very pleasant. I think that Cluster 2 was a little bit difficult, but with Zuckerzeit, for me, when I listened, I was 14 years old. I was a young boy, and I put it down on my CD player. For me, Hollywood was a revelation. With this drum machine, very, very primitive, because we have to remember that the technology wasn't very good, because I am a drummer, and for me, Hollywood was a drum groove very beautiful, because Zuckerzeit inside it is an album with pop songs. Sorry for this thing, pop, but very, very German. From the cover album, the cover of the album, it is a sweet Zuckerzeit. It is written like a sweet, like a sweet that you have to taste. And for me, Zuckerzeit, it was a revelation. Like like the other album. In this album, there is the beginning of the collaboration with Michael Rother.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Sorry, can you remember the time that you met Rother?
He came to us as cluster in our place where we were at the time.
Forster.
And it was Klaus Dinger who had the idea to ask Rother to meet with us for a possible supergroup, which was the name he found out, Dinger, the name he found out about it was Europe. So 2 keyboards, 2 drummers, and 2 guitars.
6 persons.
It was a great idea.
Yes, it was a great idea.
Yeah, and Rother came, but it ended up that he stayed with us, and we started to be Harmonia.
Yes, and I think that Klaus Dinger was a genius because now he's dead, and it is a shame because many krautrockers like you, because I have to say you're an idol, but Klaus Dinger from Neu and La Düsseldorf made a different career.
Yeah.
Now I have to show you this thing. I buy this 2 weeks ago, and Groenland was a beautiful label in this box set, and I want to say it is very important. Who wants to know your great adventure? Your great adventure
with beautiful,
with our Harmonia. If you see this, is wonderful.
It's a great.
With this album, yes, because this box set have music from Harmonia, Deluxe, Alive 1974 with Brian Eno.
Oh, you got everything.
And this is a demo. Okay.
Yeah.
With Harmonia, I think you have reached the peak of your career. Yes, for me, Harmonia was the continuation of the sound of a cluster. Maybe Harmonia is more morbid sounds. Yes. Your memories about the recording session. First, for me, is a beautiful place because I think in the country you have the time to think and to record. First was your headquarters with Moebius and Rother. Tell me about, if you remember, the session of music from Harmonia. What is your memories with Connie Plank?
There is on Musik from Harmonia, there is some things what we did live in Amsterdam, not only that we did in Forst. And we were very curious to see what's coming out when we rehearse together and play together in Forst. And everything we did, we recorded. So some of the recording of music of Harmonia is live recorded in Forst, in a shed, in front of a big fireplace. So full of ambience, full of nice ambience, because Forst was a sort of paradise, even so. But because we didn't know that river upwards was a mad nuclear plant that contaminated the whole country. So we didn't know when we came there. We had to leave Forst because of that fact that there was a nuclear plant nobody told us about. People died. Even on Forst, there were 3 people who died on contamination. So they didn't tell about us. So that was a real catastrophe. So we had to leave first because of that fact.
It was a shame because
Rota is still there.
yes,
Michael is still there, yeah.
because first it is a paradise for me, for a musician. If you have a band like Harmonia or Cluster, you have to spend some time in relax, because the music that came from this album is a healing for the soul, for me, because when you listen it to relax, for me is more than ambient or crowd.
Yeah.
It is a cure for the soul, because now we are living in a society with technology and very trouble things. And for me, first, if I don't have any memory, because I don't come to this place, for me, as I see a photo, I see the pastoral tranquility.
Yeah,
So for me,
tranquility, yes.
because I think that the music that came from this album is the natural consequence of the ambient.
Yeah.
But behind you, I see a painting. It is a painting of your solo album, self-portrait, behind you, Mr. Roedelius. Is it true?
What? Tell it again, please.
Behind your shoulder, on the wall, there is a painting.
The painting
A
of
painting
me.
of self-portrait. And
Well,
now Mr. Moebius died, and
yeah.
when I read this news, for me was very sad, because Moebius was very intelligent musician.
A great personality, really was, yes.
It was Swiss, not German.
He's born in Switzerland.
Okay.
He was child of a family of diplomats,
Okay.
and so he was he already had some experience visiting countries like in Africa and everywhere. So he was very well educated.
Yes, I see. I see on the interview. He was very,
It was a good
very
background,
polite.
but still he was really. I don't have. I can't find the English expression. He was very aware
Polite.
of what happened, and he was a punker. He was not a harmonic man like I am. So he was more into the zeitgeist.
Okay.
He was really aware of the zeitgeist, and he served to the zeitgeist, even so with his covers. All the covers of Cluster
Yes.
were made by him, and they are great covers. He still need afterwards awards.
It was a very polite man, like Rotter, and we have, don't forget, Connie Plank. Connie
Yeah,
Plank.
Conny Plank, yes, of course. I never forget Conny Plank, because he was was a sort of silent member of Cluster
Yes.
all the time, yeah.
I think that Connie Plank was the major producer and sound engineer in the 70s and in the 80s, because
Yes.
in Italy, Connie Plank produced, it was 1980, an album from an Italian singer, Gianna Nannini.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is a very famous female singer, and the first album was.
How is she? Is she still there?
Yes,
Gianna?
she's still there, but now it's very commercial sound. This album was Latin Lover. It was produced by Connie Plank, but the album of Divo, the Ultravox, and the first
Deutsch-amerikanische Freundschaft.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and the first album of the Eurythmics was made by him.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a very important person in krautrock, like Dieter Dierks or the others. But Conny Plank for me was the perfect model of the krautrock. It was the silent member of Cluster and Harmonia and Kraftwerk
Yeah. And some of my solo stuff he took his hand off. Yes.
Jardin of Fufu, it was made
Durch die Wüste.
Yes.
Durch die Wüste, yeah.
And and another thing for me, it is a very delicate question about it. The relationship with Brian Eno.
Yeah.
What do you remember about it? What is your memories? Because I know and I see on the documentary that the figure of Brian Eno was not so good as I think, because I think that Brian Eno come to Forst to record and to help Cluster and Harmonia. What happened? Why Brian Eno do this thing to record for 3 months and later he goes? I had a theory and I said to you later, but I want to know what is your point of view in this collaboration, Mr. Roedelius?
I don't know why Brian went to produce this album before and after Science in a different studio.
Yes.
But what he did before was has the hands of Conny on it. He worked with Conny on the album.
Yes.
At the same time, at a different album. At the same time with us on 2 different albums. Brian was a workaholic. And in this short period, we met him when he was in Germany.
1976.
I don't know the time. I don't know the year anymore. But he was so busy and so fruitful, as well as with his solo stuff, as with us. And I think everything he did at the time was really, really successful in ingredient-wise, and as blue mark for everything afterwards.
Yes, but I think that the collaboration with Harmonia, but not only with Cluster or Harmonia. After the hit, it was Eno, Moebius, and Roedelius, or Cluster and Eno. For me, was that Brian Eno came to learn from you the linear things for the ambient music and put it down with Bowie. My theory, my personal theory is this: I like very much Brian Eno, but I think that with you, it don't was very correct, because he was very polite, because he come at first, recorded so many stuff, and went down. And your music is very stopped. I think that Brian Eno was very not very good with us.
With us?
Yes.
I think he came to learn about and the way we are working.
Yes.
And I think he learned a lot, because not only you are telling afterward that when he worked with David, that he took over some of that what he learned with us.
Yes.
into the productions. Why not? We learned of him as well.
Yes.
So it's an exchange of ideas, exchange of the way how to produce.
Yes.
I mean, I learned a lot of him. I'm very grateful because in all our relationships through the years, I knew him long before we worked as cluster and Harmonia. I met him in Britain for a long time before. So that's a long, deep friendship with Brian.
Yes. Yes.
I'm taking care of, and he as well. Yeah,
Yes. I think that it was a great collaboration
yeah,
because in my personal point of view, for me, later in the years, maybe there was so many album you can do it together, but in this time, I think that it was very difficult. But is my personal point of view, and I don't want to say nothing wrong.
yeah,
And your solo career, it was very important. The collaboration with and no, not the collaboration, the production with Peter Baumann from
yeah.
Tangerine Dream. What
That
is
was
your memories? It
that,
was a good album, Jardin à Foufou.
it was a good album afterwards, but it was not easy to produce it because in general, Baumann is too much. He was too much on putting into a producer context. Of course, as a producer, you have to look after the market, whether people will really listen to it or not. So they have to do something to make it about a sort of mainstreamy. And that's what he tried with me as well. It didn't work out. We
Yes,
both
but
went.
yes,
We both went thick. We
yes,
landed both in hospital
okay,
because we had really trouble to produce together something. At the end, I had to get out of the game. I produced Lustwandel myself with somebody in Austria, and only Jardin au Fou has his hands on it.
yes,
But
but I think
it's even so. It's a nice record.
yes,
Afterwards, I think it's a good record because
yes,
he's a good producer, of course.
yes, it's a good record because I think Jardin à Foufou and the others are very Roedelius sounds. I prefer, in my point of view, your piano solo because with the piano you have the power to evoke your feelings, and for me is very beautiful because if you think that cluster with K and self
Yes,
portrait, it was
that's a
a
long,
very huge adventure.
that's a long way, huh?
Yes,
Good way.
it's a good
Yeah.
way, and for me, interview and is very an honor to speak with you. It takes 3 hours, but it's not possible.
Why
It's not.
not? Why not, Matteo?
It's not. Maybe we can do it another one on
Yeah.
Wednesday. I'll interview Mr. Rotter, and if you want to join my YouTube channel, it is a pleasure.
Oh, when on Wednesday, next Wednesday,
Yes,
I
if
mark it. I see. Okay,
okay.
I tell you.
And in the future, what are the future project of Roedelius now?
Roedelius is going minimal and minimal and minimal and minimal. He's going out anyway, somewhere, and I'm only playing with interferences in the piano. I don't play anymore really. I
Ah,
like I like to experience in which way the chords of a grand piano react on whatever touch I give to the taste on the piano, and I like to listen what's going to happen when I touch one key and the key is sounding out, and I touch another key and the key is coming on, and what happens between the two keys. It's so interesting.
Yes, it is
It's
very
so interesting.
very philosophic approach now to the music. Like John Cage, like a preparation piano, but you're thinking about this thing to touch the piano and let it go, the sound is very a clever idea.
Mm-hmm.
My last question is, can you come to Italy?
I would like to. Because I wasn't there for a long time. I'm really suffering to go there and to play there. And when was the last time I was there? I don't remember even. It's long ago.
I hope that you come to Italy, because if you come to Italy, I want to meet you.
Where
And,
are you? In which town?
I lived in Italy, Brescia.
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 Yeah.
It is
In the middle.
near
Emilia Romagna.
no,
It's the Emilia.
no. It is near to Milan.
Okay.
And I hope that you came to do a concert, because for me, your personality and your music have to return.
I know. I want to.
So
Matteo, thank you for inviting me. Thank you taking care of me. Thank you to spread the word. Grazie milione.
Thank you for your time, and keep in touch, Mr. Roedelius. Bye.
Arrivederci. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.